Please join me in the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need to make a motion. I want to amend the agenda to move patron comments after the recognition, just so we can kind of clear the minute and everybody sees.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, agenda's approved. We are to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We're on to recognitions.
All right, it's our honor and privilege to recognize some fine and outstanding student athletes this evening. And as always, Mr. Dwyer does a great job of helping out because he's our athletic director. This evening, we're going to be recognizing some student athletes from cross country and also volleyball. So, Mr. Dwyer, thank you.
Thank you, Shane. So like you said, we've got academic all-state cross-country and academic all-state volleyball players that we would like to recognize. So we're going to do it a little different if you've been here before. First, I'm going to ask that all academic all-state cross-country runners, everybody come up here and just line up on that wall. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what it took to qualify, and then we'll call their names. All right, so first I'd like to say I'm proud to announce that we had a record 12 members of the Perryville High School cross-country team earn academic all-state recognition from the Missouri Track and Cross-Country Coaches Association. To qualify for this distinction, student athletes must have earned a minimum GPA of 3.6 during the fall semester, and they must have competed in either the Mission District or state championship race. These young men and women continue to impress both on the course and in the classroom with their hard work and dedication. They epitomize the well-rounded student athletes of which we are so proud. So with some of these distinctions, I'm going to call out your name if you could come up and grab a certificate from Dominic. And if I say their name, then if they had a perfect 4.0 GPA, I will say that as well. So first we have senior Micah Brown with a 4.0 GPA. Next we have senior Marcus Smith, who had a 4.0 GPA. Not able to be with us tonight, we had senior Clayton Bounds, senior Rodney Rao, senior Katie Baggett with a perfect 4.0 GPA. And not able to be with us, our last senior was Alexa Hagan. Juniors with a perfect 4.0, Anna Rehagen. And junior Lucy Blythe. Freshmen, we have freshman Easton Bleckley. Freshman with a perfect 4.0, Esvedi Antonio. Freshman Grace Buckeye. And freshman Addie Kern. And I'd also like to call up our cross-country coaches are here. Our head coach is Mr. Shadrick Shaper and assistant coach, Mr. Tyson Brown. They want to come up and take a picture. And if we can get one more big round of applause, and any parents who want to come up and get a picture of our academic all-state cross country, feel free to come on up. Let's give them one more round of applause.
I'm getting covered.
Great job, guys.
Next, we have academic all-state volleyball. And if you were here, I believe all 4 of our athletes are here. If you want to come on up as well. So to earn academic all-state in the sport of volleyball, the coach must be a member of the Coaches Association. These students, athletes, had to play in at least 75% of all varsity sets this past fall, and they had to have a cumulative GPA of 3.6 or higher. And reaching those milestones are Kaylee Klaus, Emma Bleckley, Lydia Schlimper, and Allison Burns. If there are any parents that want to come up and take a picture, you are more than welcome to come up and take a picture. Photo real quick. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. And then one last thing I'd like to say before I leave, this was not on the recognition, but today we turned into the Missouri State High School Activities Association the Academic Achievement Award for our fall sports teams. So at the high school, whether it was a freshman, JV, or varsity level team, we had 12 total teams in all of our sports. Out of those 12 teams, 10 of those teams reached the milestone of being recognized by MSHA for the Academic Achievement Award. And those recognitions are teams that are considered distinguished, and this is a full team GPA. You had to have either between a 3.0 GPA or in between 3.0 and 3.49, and those teams were considered distinguished, and we had 5 of our 12 teams reach that. And then the Outstanding Achievement Award was having a team GPA between 3.50 and 4.0, and we had 5 teams reach that. So out of our 12, like I said, out of our 12 fall sports teams, we had 10 of them have a team GPA of at least 3.0 or higher, which is pretty outstanding that they're not only excelling on the court, on the course, on the field, but also in the classroom. So I just wanted to mention that while we go.
On behalf of the school board, I'd like to congratulate all the student athletes that received awards tonight, and how proud we are of you for attaining what you attained, because I know how hard it is to balance curriculum with extracurriculars, and it takes a lot of work to do that. And you all will be very successful in life, I can tell by what you've done. So congratulations again.
Next up is patron comments. We have one, Leroy. You want to address the board? Yes, board. Well, hopefully we can hear you well.
Is this on?
I have no idea.
It's in here.
Okay, because I'm going to talk quiet. If I do, I apologize for that. And the reason for that, I'm deaf in my right ear, so I have a hard time hearing people, and I think I'm talking loud enough. A lot of times I'm not. I get told that a lot of times. So, means I may not be able to be heard on sometimes. But I just got a couple of questions, and in no order whatsoever. First off, what's the backup plan if the tax incentive fails? Do we have anything?
It's been discussed.
Sorry, that's the, I'm having.
I don't know, other than take the insurance money and repair.
Next question I've been asked by other people. Why did the protective measures stop once they started to protect the building after the storm? Seems like there's been some work done out there, and I know there has, but there's other times where people look up and there's stuff that's not still being done in this.
I'm not sure, you know,
I'm not
what
sure
you're talking about. If we can get specifics, I can find out answers and get them to you.
Just questions I've been asked. And as far as,
Well, roofs were repaired that were, the roofs that we had damaged were repaired. What else were you referring to?
more of the roof repair work, the roof materials that are sitting up on top of the schools that haven't been used. You know, in the people's eyes, it's stopped and we're wondering why.
I don't think there's any roofs that aren't done that could have been done, are there?
I can't answer that. I'll have to find that answer and get back to you.
Are they planning on getting any more bids for repairing or replacing the buildings?
Yes, as far as the actual set in stone bids, we're just getting started.
Okay. So there isn't any estimated amount yet, what it's gonna cost for?
The estimated amounts that we're working with so far have come through the architects, and they're based on current industry standards, to my knowledge. We're getting to the point now of actually requesting proposals from construction.
The question, and this is the last one, is could the repair work have been done to get the school started without using any of the tent buildings that were used?
I personally don't believe there was enough safe areas to put them in.
I'm sorry, Eric.
I don't think there was enough safe areas to put them in.
I mean, you either had the roofs, or you had mold, or you had water. I don't think there was any place you could, not in a timely manner.
Structural damage.
Yeah.
Some of the rooms are still quarantined off, you can't get into.
I'm sorry.
Some of the areas are still quarantined off, you can't use because they're deemed unsafe.
Right.
They've repaired what they can, that they inspected and can still use and repaired, and they're back in those. but there's still quite a few that can't be used, the gym being one of them.
I was told last night there was a $10 million insurance settlement that we have to do some of this repair work. Can it still be done in phases to get to where we want to get to over this next 5 to 10, 15-year time frame versus having it all done right now? In other words, the need for this tax increase is, from what I've seen, is to try and get on it, get it done, and get in and get out, so to speak. But could it be done in phases, and would we still get the funding from FEMA if it's according to their recommendations? In other words, I'm going to give you my input, because I think this tax message doesn't have a prayer to pass, because there's too many people out here, and I'm one of them just recently, on a fixed budget, and I will make it happen if in fact it does pass. Come up with my part of the money, but I know there's probably a higher percentage that won't be able to. So in fact, we'll be taxing them to the point where they won't be able to stay where they're living in. And that's what I'm really concerned about. So I look at other ways, and I've talked to some other people about using that 10 million in a way to generate money to carry us through these phases and still get the money returned back to us from FEMA, and it won't be out of the public's pocket. We'll put the public in a stressful situation. In other words, there's having anybody look into bonds, having bonds offered up to be able to come up with money. And in fact, if that does work, the money that they collect from the people buying the bonds, the payback has to be within this time allotted for a little bit, what I know about bonds. The interest has to be paid, but over time, that money that we use through that stuff is going to be reimbursed from FEMA, from what I'm gathering. So that will pay for that itself. It won't be out of any special account other than the $10 million bond.
The FEMA piece is still up in the air. Number one, we don't know what we're getting from FEMA. We're still working with them on a daily basis to try to figure out what that number could be.
Right.
And it's only a reimbursement. From the information that we've been given, a school can only sell bonds if there's an election. We can't just decide to sell bonds to raise as an investment.
I didn't hear that. I need to hear it.
We cannot just decide to sell bonds. We have to have some nature of an election to show that how we can reinforce and back that bond.
10 million is not enough for the new building.
Right, it has to be a proposition to the voter to sell the bond.
Yes. You know, you said take the money and buy and sell the bond to raise more money, but we cannot do that without having the election.
And that's what we're doing with the election, is we'll be buying bonds.
Oh, sure you couldn't hear it.
I said, with the election, if it passes, that's what we do, is we'll buy bonds with it, but we have to get the approval through the election.
Hey, Alan. Alan, I know your time is up, but if you call Miss Julie, she can give you all of our phone numbers, and we'll have a private conversation with you if you want us to. Julie can give you all of our numbers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to schedule a roll call vote for a closed session to discuss student and personnel matters as permitted by revised Missouri Statute 610.21, Section 3, 6, 13, and 14 at the conclusion of open session.
Second.
Kevin?
Aye.
Lyndon? Terry?
Aye.
Nancy? Jamie?
Aye.
Dominic?
Now we have the Lifesavers presentation and information.
I just need to try, where's play?
The bottom left.
Can you see it over there, bud?
You got it.
Look
Ah, there we go. Thank you.
And Director of Education for Gift of Life in Kansas City. In 2018, a law was passed that allows us to present to school boards in the state of Missouri about LearnLifesavers.com. But due to the large number of school districts, presenting in person is nearly impossible. So please accept this video presentation as a substitute for me being there in person. For the next 5 minutes, I will share information.
Like our Super Bowl experience. We were watching this in his house on Charter's app, or Spectrum's app. We got that one.
I can read this while
I'm
we're
gonna try
waiting.
something.
Okay.
Give me a laptop.
I'm going to read a little narrative that goes with this while we wait to see if the internet can catch up. The board is required by Board Policy BDDB in accordance with law for a nationally recognized program or organization that provides unbiased information on organ, eye, and tissue donation requests to be put on the agenda for the purpose of presenting information about such donations, and the board will grant that request. After the presentation, the board will consider the information and decide whether to present such information to students and to parents and guardians, and the manner in which the information shall be presented. So this is required by law. This is their means of communicating and addressing the board, is to watch their video. And then after hearing the presentation, the board can make the decision to integrate this into our curriculum or not to. I'd be playing by now.
Too many laptops on?
Jonathan, any suggestion?
I'm checking now.
Okay.
At LearnLifesavers.com, which is a free, unbiased, 30-minute online teacher self-guided lesson which provides education about organ, eye, and tissue donation. High school students need to be educated about donation when they apply for or renew their driver's license. And sharing their decision with a loved one is the most important step regarding donation. The goal of LearnLifesavers.com is to educate students about the question, do you want to be a donor? So when they apply for their driver's license or state ID, they can make an informed decision. This educational effort about donation is for lives saved and healed through organ, eye, and tissue donation. For the individuals waiting for a life-saving or life-healing transplant, and for individuals who die every day waiting for a life-saving transplant. LearnLifesavers.com was developed to educate all students in the state of Missouri about donation. LearnLifesavers.com is 8 easy steps in 30 minutes. Teachers will engage their students with provided questions and statements. Then they will show a short video. Then the teachers will ask students true-false questions, and the students will answer verbally. The teachers will then show a second short video, ask students true-false questions, and the students answer verbally. Additional resources are provided for teachers to enhance student learning, and at the end of the lesson, there's an easy way to report basic data, which includes teacher's name and email, school name and address, class subject, number of students reached, and the date LearnLifesavers.com was presented. No information is collected about students, and the collected data is never shared. This data is important for tracking outcomes. There's also an option for a student self-guided lesson. LearnLifesavers.com relates to specific grade level expectations and aligns with the Missouri Learning Standards, giving your school district the flexibility to provide the education in one or more subject areas or courses. LearnLifesavers.com may be used in health, science, or even partnered with the CPR mandate. You know your school community. Therefore, you should decide where it fits best in your high school. LearnLifesavers.com may be used in all high school grade levels. Within the supporting materials that have been provided is a list of school districts in Missouri that are educating their high school students about organ, eye, and tissue donation. I've also provided commonly asked questions regarding organ donation. After the board votes, your superintendent will complete the letter of participation form and send it to me for our records. My husband and I founded the nonprofit Gift of Life, located in Kansas City 25 years ago. LearnLifesavers.com was modeled after our Lifesavers High School program, which offers in-person presentations. Gift of Life has educated over 450,000 high school students and their families. Our son Luke received a life-saving liver transplant at 11 months old. He was given 2 years to live without an organ donor. He will soon turn 29. I will be forever grateful to his donor family for giving him a second chance. Missouri can be a national leader in educating high school students about organ, eye, and tissue donation. Please vote in favor to implement LearnLifesavers.com, because together we can save one life at a time.
So we're thinking of it in health. Did I understand her correctly that it's 30 minutes a year is all that that's all they're asking? That's the way I understand.
I'll be a no vote on this, if that helps your discussion.
Is there a particular, maybe you can help?
I think about academics, I think about parents and guardians. That's a decision for them. Does it add to our academics? I don't think so. I know it's only 30 minutes. And I think that's a decision for parents and guardians. I don't see it as a appropriate setting.
Okay, that was mentioned in there. Information would go to the parents. So is it presented as a student decision or a combination decision?
Those are all questions that parents are going to ask, and I just think it's just Glennon's opinion is it just introduces a lot of confusion and questions, and does it help our academic situation?
But it also introduces a subject that most people fail to ever consider.
I didn't say that it's not a worthy cause.
Sounds like it's more of an awareness thing.
Yeah.
Make kids aware there's options out there. Discuss it with your parents and see if you're interested in it.
And that's what I'd be inclined to discuss with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just sign up.
I'm sure most 16-year-olds would think.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know how it's presented entirely.
Yeah, I'm not sure at what age you can by yourself. Sure, by 18, actually, not 16, you're gonna get your license if you can sign it then and know.
I don't think they explain all that. It's gotta be legal, or they wouldn't be able to do it, should they?
I don't have any of those answers. I was just told that by law we have to watch the video.
Fair. I'll make a motion to forego the Learn Lifesavers lesson plan at School District 32.
Turn it. It's easier to do. So if we want it, we'd have to say no.
Which is basically what he said, correct?
I'm saying that if you vote yes for his, you're saying no to the program.
Maybe change your motion to be an affirmative in the affirmative.
Right, and then the no's,
I think that's what, I think our motion needs to probably be in the affirmative, like in the positive. I mean, they could
no.
vote no.
No one seconded it, so no one can make another motion. I mean, think of the confusion that just introduced here. That's my thinking, and then I always think of, this is a parent guardian decision anyway, so that's one man's opinion.
Okay, I'll make a different motion. I'll make a motion to implement the Learn Lifesavers lesson plan in our district high school beginning school year 26-27, class subject community health.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No. That was clear.
No?
Did you vote?
Aye.
Okay.
What was the vote?
Well,
6-1. I said aye.
I'll say, I thought there was 4 at least. I couldn't hear Kevin for sure. You right?
I'll yell louder next time.
Okay. Good.
4-2, correct? 4-2.
Is there a way, can I just ask, is there a way that before we teach this information that we maybe get something sent out to the parents so they're kind of have a heads up of what's going on? Because I think that'd probably be a good thing rather than just trying to do it with the kids and then they bring it home and they're kind of still confused about it, and we got parents that maybe if this company has some pamphlets or something that we could maybe take some verbiage out and kind of let the parents know.
We can look and see what they have. And then I can report back to you all what I find out.
Thank you.
Will this be for all 4 grades?
I think it just has to be implemented one time.
Yeah, it
One
said,
time.
yeah, it said
It could be any grade level.
It's just 1 half-hour session throughout the 4 years, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We would most likely run this during our health class, which
Yeah.
is primarily juniors.
Juniors, okay.
Yes, sir. And it's a semester-long course.
Okay, next up is RFP for investment opportunities for the insurance.
Okay, as we near the end of our initial phase of our storm recovery, we start to move forward into our next stage. There will be some insurance funds that may not be needed immediately right away. Rather than allowing those dollars to sit and just be idle in the bank, I am requesting the board to consider issuing a request for proposals to explore short-term, safe, compliant investment options so that those funds could possibly generate some additional revenue for us while we wait until we need to have those accessible. We're simply just asking for the board to consider that, and then we would bring that RFP language in front of the board. At this time, we don't know what the amount would be.
Make a motion to request for proposals for investment opportunities for insurance proceeds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the review of the RFQ for construction management at risk.
There's just one page.
Yes.
So we received 5 RFQs. I think Alex and Terry and myself, and Dr. Jones is at the forms. Scored them, and this looks like the tally of the numbers that came out. With Brock Miller scoring the highest, and followed by Zellner and Robinson. So
Basically, all this is saying that they're qualified.
yes.
And
then we can have.
Now, and from what I understand it, Terry, and somebody may have to correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, then we put out an RFP, a request for proposal. In order to do the proposal, we have got to get language from SAP narrowing down exactly what they're bidding.
Right, they'll have to see plans and all that.
Yes.
To bid.
And then they will put together a proposal, and that's when we will look at the proposal, interview them, and
Right,
is that correct? Dr. Jones?
Yes, yes, sir, perfect.
I want to make sure I said that correctly.
yeah. Every one of these I looked at are qualified in terms of what they've done and their financial standing and all that. There's nothing there in terms of that.
Looks pretty impressive.
It's gonna boil down to 2 things, I think, bid price and proximity, how far away they are.
Yes, I agree.
Dominic, will we be able to tell this construction manager at risk a budget to stay within and then hold them to that?
You know, I think that there is laws around that once that we get this proposal. Colin, do you have any back?
You can read it.
I know you're one of these, but you have a lot more knowledge on this than we do.
Yeah, to answer your question, you can do that. There's 2 paths forward. And when you hire a construction manager at risk, their contract is based on what's called a guaranteed maximum price. But if you tell them that they have to give a guaranteed maximum price on a budget, they control a lot more of the design and contingencies and unknowns, as opposed to if you let the design play out and then bid it out and do a GMP that way. So you're going to be going through this process, hiring a construction manager at risk, and you're going to ask them, you could potentially be asking them, can you do this for a set amount of dollars? And they're going to say, you don't have drawings yet. So they may tell you they can, but they're going to play a heavier hand in what your design is.
So that, say what the name of that is, that where you hold them to a
Guaranteed
total
maximum price.
guaranteed maximum price.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read into this. Are you saying that's more uncommon when you have an architect designing?
Yes, so if you said we want a GMP up front, they are going to give you a proposal and they're gonna say, we're gonna charge this percentage based off of the lump sum that you're looking at. But they're gonna say, we reserve the right to have these qualifications and contingencies because everything is unknown at this point. If you're gonna ask us to do this for $1 million, we're gonna have all these qualifications and these allowances. And they control those allowances. So if they don't use them, they get to keep them. That's their trade-off because they're taking more risk on something that hasn't been designed. Whereas if you let the design play out and your architect finish the design to where they can go through the bidding process, you've now eliminated the need for any and all of those contractor-controlled contingencies and allowances.
What's the title of the other option? Guaranteed maximum price, and then what do you call the other route?
Well, they're both guaranteed maximum prices, but one of them comes before the bid documents and the other one comes after it's been bid. So with construction management risk, you have to bid out all the major components of work. You bid them publicly, similar to how we've been doing with the CM agency. You bid them, you open them up in a public place, you open the bids, we review them, and then you would go to the owner and say, we recommend you allow us to enter into a contract with this contractor. And we say that total number between those total amounts of contracts is X, and we are guaranteeing that we will not go over that X dollar figure unless you, the owner, decide to make changes in scope or...
We'd make change to a contract if we was
Yes,
doing
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Well, we have examples in our city of projects that went over budget, dramatically over budget because of external factors, I'm sure. So how, I'm asking this on behalf of the public, the percentage of increase on materials really adds up on a $52 million project.
You need a really good construction manager at risk.
You know what?
Listen, there's, on a project like this, there is without a doubt risk. There's risk on every construction project, but there are ways that you can minimize them and manage them.
Well, can we do phases? And do we have to do requests for proposals or qualifications if we did 3 phases?
You will be doing phases if there's...
Okay, but can you do a guaranteed maximum price on each phase?
You can, and some projects that are different than yours, that's exactly what we do. And some projects are fast-tracked for the sake of time. You get some packages out early, and that becomes a GMP amendment. So, for instance, this metal building, if we were to do a bid package on the site work, the foundations, and the metal building itself, while the rest of it is still being designed, we can go ahead and bid out those packages and then bring it to the board and ask you guys to approve that. It's not the total cost of the project, but it's the first bid package. So the way I like to look at it is, if you hire a construction manager at risk, there is an AIA contract that you are signing them up with. Every project that goes after that is a GMP amendment. So anytime you go through a bid process, you fill out another AIA form, and that's a GMP amendment, and basically it gets stapled to your master contract.
Can this board set a price on each one of those phases?
Can they set a price on it? Yes.
You've seen some renderings. If you were just throw out a number of phases, I mean, is it more than 3? Is it more than 5? There's several structures.
It could be 3, it could be 5.
Not many more than that, based on the renderings you've seen.
Just looking online, Colin, it looks like you're referring to, they're calling it early GMP or late GMP. One, you're doing it either pre-documents being produced, and in which case it's even showing level of certainty is low.
Yeah.
Just because there's too many unknowns because you don't know what you're bidding to, essentially. So you're probably gonna highball it just to kind of protect yourself.
I do not recommend the early GMP.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you could probably consult with Mr. Mickus, and he would tell you the same thing. Both are perfectly legal and fine, but I think you have lower risk if you go ahead and let the design play out.
That's what this is saying slower start because you gotta wait for all the drawings, but you tend to be a lot closer to actual numbers once you know what bidding.
Say
That's
those
what you're
two-
saying, let it play out.
Can you say those two terms again?
Early GMP, so pre-drawing completion, and late GMP, which is post-drawing, so that way they know what they're bidding too. It just says level of certainty is much higher with,
Could that latter one, could that be on each of the 5 phases?
oh, sure, it would be. In fact, that's probably his preferred way to do it, if I had to guess.
What's a rough percentage difference between the two methods?
On this size of a project, I could see it being for some millions, because there's a lot of risks there to take.
So in theory, let's just say you did pre on the first phase.
Yeah,
You would highball that with the hopes after the drawing that we could engineer it under that.
yes.
And that would
So-
give you additional for the next phase potentially, but
So if you were to do the late GMP, you stand nothing to lose, because you're not committed to do the project. We're just saying this is what it's gonna take to do the project. You still have cost measures and things that you can do to change that. You can go back and throw it out and redesign it, rebid it. You can do value engineering. You can look at more economical ways to procure it. Maybe it's less phases. So it doesn't cost you anything to try to develop the late GMP.
I think the real question that we've got here is, we've got the RFQs, they're obviously all there. We need to make a motion to request RFPs. And how many of the 5 companies we want to go down the list to request RFPs from?
I make a motion to request proposals for RFPs from Brockmiller, Robinson, and Zellner.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you, Colin.
thanks.
Thanks.
guess what? Now you're up. Thank you, though.
Hey, no problem. I'm happy to talk about it. Thank you for asking.
Can I, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm still on this. Request for proposals, that's the dollars.
Yes, so the request, so all of this, the RFQ and the RFP is all governed by state statute. And they give you a roadmap on how you're supposed to go through this process, and that's exactly what you're doing.
We just chose the qualified
Qualified,
folks.
you've shortlisted it, now you're moving on to proposals.
The money.
Proposals is typically 3 things that you're looking at. You give a fee percentage on overhead and profit. You give a percentage fee on a matrix of general conditions that are included in a project like this. And then you give a fee on pre-construction services. So those 3 fees are what you're basing it off of, however many millions your project you think is going to be based on. So it's not a lump sum per se, it's a percentage of whatever your targeted construction.
So you're not quoting the project itself, you're quoting your cost to
Yes.
perform the project.
Yes.
Or to do the project,
Yes,
or to manage the project.
yes.
And if those companies were listening or watching this video, are they going to include in those proposals an idea of phases, or does that come later?
That is not part of this process unless it is specifically put in there on something that you guys wanted to see. But it's strictly more fee structure.
If I'm correct, Stephen, and that SAP is going to help us put the RFP language together.
He would be involved with the full process of it for guidance.
Are we gonna touch that again as a board discussion? You said Stephen's gonna help with that. Is he gonna present that to us?
The RFP, yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
What you got?
Real quick, storm recovery's wrapping up. As you know, we've got the temporary admin project is underway. It's going very well. Stud framing is complete, drywall's complete. They're taping and painting right now. Overhead electric and mechanical work is progressing as well. Next week, we should be installing your ceilings, and then the following week, flooring and casework. And our target is first week of March, turn that over to you, which I think works pretty good with your move-in. So that's, if you remember, that was kind of what we had targeted on doing, and it's gone very well. So that project is starting to wrap up. The last batch of metal wall panels at the middle school is on site, and they're going to start on that next week. Should take 3 days to complete. And then we have 2 HVAC switchovers that we have left to do at the primary and elementary. We have all that equipment. We're just waiting for mild weather before we disrupt that service. So hopefully we're going to try and target that over spring break. And get that work done, and then we'll be done with the storm recovery process.
Is that some of the stuff the gentleman was asking questions about?
It is not, but the one thing he mentioned was roofing material. There was material stocked on the roofs, and we sent a cost proposal back to you guys to eliminate that roofing until you know what you're doing with your bond issue. Because there was a couple roofs, the 200, 300 wing and the gym in particular, and there's a small roof below the gym that we did not think it would be necessary to. The 200, 300 wing, you can't. It's too far gone.
You'd be putting a roof on something that might come down later.
Yes.
So why waste
Yes.
it? Yeah.
So we restocked those supplies and sent you guys a credit back on that. But all of the other roofs, as quickly as we could, were re-roofed to protect from any further damage. But you mentioned that there was a lot of mold and water damage and some of those old high school rooms that had to be abated, tested, re-abated, retested, and a lot of demo and rework that we had to do to get back into those areas. So it was a slow process, but we had to go through procurement and all that. So, and then the last project that we're still working on is our roadmap to get out of the Learning Expo, which is the metal building partially on the football field. We've been working with Dr. Jones and Shadrick to identify how many students need a new home for that, because it is right around the corner. And as part of this process, we are salvaging the 1970 edition, the West Wing we're calling it, 3-story building. And SAP is working on a bid package to renovate those classrooms, which is a light renovation. And the thought is that that will come out this spring and be completed by the end of summer, so that those kids can move out of the Learning Expo and into those classrooms. Now, there's not enough classrooms for all those kids in the Learning Expo, but that's why we've got the metal building. So the metal building is going to house 6 classrooms, and as well as public restrooms that can be accessible from football field, as well as the classroom spaces, and it'll also have 2 locker rooms in it. And so that we're looking at an 8-month turnaround. We got the geotech report back 2 weeks ago, and they've got the survey complete, so they're working on getting the first bid package out on that. And they're going to fast track that to be site work, foundations, and the metal building, while they continue on the other consultant designs, which would be the interior build out and MEP systems. Because we have to get out of the Learning Expo by the end of the year, so that you guys can transition next semester into your new classroom.
So do you only ever have 6 in the new building, or is it just going to start in fall with, or as soon as you can get in at 6 and it moves to more.
There's technically, I think, actually going to be 7 classroom spaces in there. And then however that looks like going forward, permanent use, that building is easily changeable.
But we don't have to wedge the 20 in there.
But the classrooms that you're gonna be able to renovate in the west wing will be good.
Yes.
They are in the future plan as well.
Yes, yeah,
Regardless of April.
regardless of April, yes.
And will we approve a maximum on that or a project amount on that? On those,
You will,
what
yes,
you just
exactly,
mentioned?
yes, we will come to you and we will present the bids, we'll bid it out, we'll present the bids and a tabulation and a summary, and we will tell you that this is our guaranteed maximum price. This building has changed, we've already done 2 budgets on it, and so we are monitoring the price of it
Is it
as
five
it
or
is
more?
being designed.
5 or more?
No, less,
Less than 5?
yeah, quite a bit less.
And that helped by doing the light renovation on the other and not
Yes.
having to wedge as much into the.
Exactly, we were able to make this building smaller, and by making it smaller, the foundations and the site work and site utility scopes got a lot easier, and so you lost a little bit of economy of scale because you greatly reduced the square footage, but the building scope itself got much simpler and smaller. So originally we were looking at one point in time, it was close to 20,000 square feet. Which is what the Learning Expo is.
What ceiling
20
height
to
are you-
30.
It is, with the ancillary spaces, it's probably closer to 30, but we wedged it down for classroom space into the 20s. But on the west wing, you've got 3 floors of, I think there's upwards of 13 classrooms in there.
What height are you going with on this metal structure?
I believe it's teetering right now between 16 and 18 feet.
Future use of sports? Or, I mean, that's for us
Could
to
be,
decide,
yeah.
but is that what we're talking about?
The last I heard, we were kind of letting the building committee look at it and make recommendations as to what district needs.
What does only 16 feet keep you from in sports?
Punting, long passes.
Yeah, probably basketball, volleyball.
You could do those. You could do soccer.
I would say
Band,
yes,
cheerleading.
soccer, wrestling, band, golf. We've done some track activities in facilities like this.
You would just cut out football or a chunk of football. I mean, you could
You could use it for
even do
football,
some,
too.
you just can't
Yeah.
throw a punt or throw a ball.
What type of square footage are you talking about right now?
Currently, it is 11,750 square feet.
I can know a lot. Well, and some of that would eat up like the locker rooms and the bathrooms and the.
Probably about a third of it, I'd say. 25 to 33% of it.
You got 8,000 or 9,000 left. 7 or 8,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have for y'all.
Any other questions or comments?
If we're down to 6 classrooms, how awkward would it be to go back to some of the design of a year ago? Force people into tighter places, some classes on a cart. How much of that would have to happen to not even need the 6 classrooms? I would guess that in the process of finding room for everyone, some of the, part of it was easy enough and part of it was very difficult.
I mean, I've seen Rick.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you,
Yep, crunched these numbers about 15 different ways, about 30 different times.
but you know what I'm getting at.
I do, and I'll be right up front. Getting it down to just having 6 displays, that's taken, I mean, we are being as conservative as we possibly can, and squeezing people in everywhere we can. And even just using the 6 or 7, we still got a couple of hopes that this works out, hopes this works out, hopes this works out. So I've got nowhere else to put anybody. The 6 is an absolute, we have to have. Unless what you're proposing is we start putting high schoolers back in the elementary building, which I would not recommend by any stretch.
Especially since you'd be looking at the potential for 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like it was for a couple of months to end the year of last year. You'd be looking at a long term.
There's so many problems with that.
Well, and it doesn't give you flexibility if any of the incoming classes happen to get larger at those schools and they need the extra space. Because if I remember right, we were taking spaces that, you know, we only needed 8 classrooms instead of 9, so there was a spare classroom. But if you get a big class come through, you're kind of up a creek.
A lot of, honestly, that entire process, just getting through April 2nd through the end of May last year, we got very, very lucky with the other building administration and their teachers making things work. But I would not be comfortable asking them to do that again, even for a semester, let alone potentially 2 to 3 years. I could not, I'm not going to do that.
And we have to talk about the quality of instructional space
Exactly.
that our kids have not had and we're trying to do on minimal means to get by. But it is, the quality of instructional space has to be a priority. We can't shove them in the closets and put them on carts and put 3 people in one room and expect excellence to come out of that.
Colin, any problem with the remodel going past us of the existing structure?
It's going, if everything happens as it should, it will be tight, but it is doable.
Are those going to simultaneously happen, or are you doing one and then the other?
Well, I think you have the Learning Expo through February, but we don't really want to make that transition in February or go through another snowstorm, so we're going to try and get it done before the end of the year, so that you've got a clean transition at next semester.
At the December, January timeframe, that's
Yes.
over the Christmas break.
When's the lease up on that?
February 27th.
Happy to get out of there.
Thanks.
Thank you all for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Colin. Program evaluations, Career Tech Center. And
Mr. Nick?
That's pretty heavy. No, in all seriousness, you've got big decisions to make, and in the meantime, I hope you trust us that we're just going to keep taking care of kids to add value to their life. I think everybody has a copy of the program evaluation that was submitted, so I can answer any questions that you have. I think it's probably worth describing. I think the one unique advantage that a career center has, and that is coming from just the experience that I was a classroom teacher for 15 years. I was either middle school or high school principal for 14 years before this current position. And the guys, men and women behind me, and the teachers in those buildings work incredibly, incredibly hard, and they do a wonderful job. But I think if you ask the average kid And I was one, and it's how I would describe my high school experience. If you ask the average kid, hey, what do you really remember? What were those powerful moments when you were in school? They probably do not talk about that 48-minute instructional period. They talk about those moments, the Friday night lights, the FFA field trips, ball games, dances, band concerts. So the hardest thing that these guys have to do behind me is have their teachers try to design within the instructional day moments that matter and that stick with those kids forever. Really hard to do, really hard to do. The advantage that we have, and it's still hard work, is those moments occur within the instructional day, every day. Today, this morning, one of our health doc kids in class, was in Mercy Hospital operating room and watched a little baby boy being born via C-section. 17 years old. Got to watch that. Now, another experience that's weird, but I got to say it too, because this afternoon I drove over to the nursing home because Miss Koenig was out today, and I wanted to just touch base with the kids, make sure everything was going okay. And I drove up and I saw one of our kids standing outside with an elderly resident, and I was sitting in a wheelchair. I was like, oh, how sweet, how cute, this is wonderful. And then I walked up a little bit closer, and the student was just making sure that the resident had a safe place to enjoy her vape. Weird, but unique. But that's just a moment that occurs organically and naturally inside a classroom at a career center. Our graphic design students, like Shatter could tell you, when the graphic design students were developing the big decals, cool project that we were doing during the day to spice up and make the learning space look good. It was a cool learning opportunity, really valuable for that high school student to have to draft a professional email, send it to, I think Coach Drury, you got it too, Coach Drury, Mr. Schaefer, and basically said, high school administrators, please review the designs that we have created and give feedback. That's really hard for a high school kid to do as a professional thing, and to get that back. And for that kid in that moment, the kid's never going to forget that. So I think we have some inherent advantages. We try really, really hard not to spend local taxpayer money. You can see in the report, give or take a few. Basically, we're trying to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of about $700,000 in revenue outside of local sources. So obviously, it's not enough to cover everything, but it's a lot. And we try really hard for our materials and supplies. That money generally does not come from local taxpayer dollars.
I'm sorry, it won't scroll.
I can read.
Yeah, mine scrolls.
It's really small anyway. I don't know if anybody.
It is really small.
Yes.
Did that
Yeah,
student,
Julie had fun trying to navigate that document.
did that student at the hospital faint?
No. In fact, I think I asked Ms. King, I think we've only had one student faint and hurt because it's her 5th year. One of the boys got to see a knee replacement last week. Phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah, in fact, it's a great learning opportunity. He got chastised by the doctor because he was so into it, and he just kept inching closer and closer, and he got too close to the table that was holding the instruments that have to be, remain sterile. So he was put in his place.
I understood him. Any other questions for Mr. Heck?
Sir, can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
I just noticed this tonight. This year is our 50th anniversary. What you got going on?
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that. We actually, I called the state, Roger Barnes is kind of in charge of CT of the state, and asked him for a timeline of all the career centers in the state. This was last summer. And he said we were actually approved. According to the state, we were founded in 1971.
Oh.
So the 40 years, and Mr. Hayden, you can probably talk on this, I think
That was at the, currently the department where they put the city down behind Conoco. It's the first auto service building.
Oh, that's where they started.
So I'll kind of condense down the report that you've got. The flyer, if a parent swings by and just wants a one-pager, that's usually what we provide them. In that top little document, it now just says for over 50 years. But in all seriousness, to answer your question, I spent one day in the basement of the local newspaper's archives last summer. Need a whole lot more time just trying to find pictures and documents of the mid-70s, and then when this building was built, I guess B building was built first, where the auto service was, in the early 80s, and then the other two were tacked on. But I can't find pictures right now, so need help. But I'm open for a good party anytime you want one.
In 74, I had a COE program was on the hill here somewhere. There's a building here. And that's where you got out at 12:30 to go to your job. You worked your career where you were working. I guess that was the early version of it, technically.
And they actually had three sections. You had the front part, the middle part, and then this part. It was built in three different sections.
Mrs. Hoover.
Yeah, you can see the cracked tile floor about halfway down. That's probably need to put an expansion. Maybe Colin can help us with that, an expansion joint there.
Any other questions for Mr. Heck?
Do you have any data on how many students go into the career, into a certain career that they train for?
Yeah, it's spotty. You know, an important thing that we do every year is the graduate follow-up. So once the kids graduate in May, we have really until, I think it's next week? This Sunday, for that graduate follow-up work. So it's kind of weird. They call that positive placements, related placements. It's not exactly a fun process to go through. Our general goal is we want to just make sure initially that everybody's either employed or pursuing further training of some capacity. And right now we're running probably between 92 and 94% positive graduation. But as far as specific, like what percentage of Tom's Auto Service kids go into auto service, that would take us a little bit more digging to do. You know, a little bit hard.
I think in general, though, the career centers changed a little from when I went to school, because when I went to school, most of the kids went to the career center because they didn't like math and science. And I think now, with working with Tom down here, you guys vet them. I mean, you bring them in and make sure they're actually interested in digging in and learning something.
Not your grandpa's career center, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to student health services. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Dominic, back in our day, we had FOAG over in the maintenance building, and everybody was going to go to college because that was the thing. And they were actually, the talk was to shut down FOAG.
Oh, really?
To shut down VOTEC because no one needed it. And now what are we doing today?
I've been over to speak and fight a few times to keep it.
I'm sorry I can't pull it up, these reports up for you all, but you all can access it from your laptop, correct? I apologize.
Everybody have a chance to read through the student any concerns, questions?
Since the crowd can't see it, I'll point it out. Am I reading this right? 32,000 interactions? Is that how I read that?
I think that's what I heard. I gotta find
Wow.
it. Yes. sure it's up right now because I think it's going around. How about a CSEP update? Yeah, I did. It's still learning, I'm just getting old.
Okay, so, I don't know if that's gonna come up, but in your packet, we included the document that we needed to update, that is the CSEP measurable targets. And so this document has all of the CSEP categories on it, and it has that measurable district-wide data on it. And we needed to add the 24-25 school year into that criteria. So, zoom in on mine. Starting with the categories, the first ones fall under the CSEP performance, that first green bar. And under performance, you have the academic achievement by status and by growth, and the success-ready students as well as graduation. And so when we first established this criteria, we had the 23-24 school year data. We wanted to easily display how many points we earned, how many points were possible, and what the goal would be. And I'm happy to say that multiple pieces on this document, we have met our goals, so we raised those goals. So for example, under the academic achievement growth, under English language arts, because we met what we had set as a goal, now we are raising that goal to the next level. And so we've done that on several of those categories, also in math and also in social studies. So we'll continue to track along and keep track of this longitudinal data so you can see the progress, and so we can continue to achieve and raise the bar. As we make improvements, we want to continue to get all the way to where we want to be on target in each category. And we have the same concept under our first category for continuous improvement, and as well as success-ready students. And so that's a little bit different of a measure, but you can see that we are meeting those goals. And once we meet a goal, maybe it's time to go back and visit how other ways we could measure progress towards achievement in those areas, and so that would result in some revisions to our full CSEP. The next category for Goal 2, the school district will provide effective two-way, reliable, and consistent communication with students, families, and staff and community members. This was very important to the CSEP team when there were revisions to improve in our communications. We used as a measure at the time, the district decided to go with a single communications app. We used the percent of people who had signed up for that app. We think there may be some buildings it's very heavily used and some buildings it is not heavily used. So we need to go back to an admin team and try to make a decision if that's really a good measure or not of how the communications are getting out to parents. But the concern was communications coming from a lot of different directions, and as a parent it was hard to keep up. So that's something that we probably need to revisit. The measures came from the survey that goes out, the annual survey. So those measures were pulled from certain questions off the survey that were related to communications. It's about time for us to send out the survey again. So we will be drafting, probably asking for a couple board members to participate like we did before. See if you have any revisions or suggestions or changing any questions. Make sure that those questions are relative to what's going on now. And that next goal had to do with all of our different supports that we have for students, the percent of students, the data that was chosen, the percent of students with more than 3 discipline referrals. We have a last year data, this year data, and the goal. You can see we have met that goal. And then attendance rate, using the 90 of 90 measure. And then also tracking teacher retention rate at a 3-year data spot and also at a 5-year data spot. And so on that, our 3-year retention rate went up from last year.
Can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
Retention rate, I see the goals. How did you choose that in the education world? Is the goal kind of at the average or is that a stretch goal for retention?
So our rates are at or above the average to other districts. So we just kind of looked at the labor market data and stuff like that to see what comparison we were. And so we saw growth in both of those. So we think that's a good thing. That tells us that I think some of the supports for new teachers, we've extended that new teacher support model and mentor beyond just that first year. We make sure that that support carries on into the second year and third year. So we're really still connecting with them. It's not just one and done and you're on your own, good luck, and throwing them out there. And so, and just a lot of other things that we feel are contributing to that as well. And then the last goal has goals that are connected to financial, facilities, and infrastructure, and also safety plans. And a lot of these come through that MSEP score, where there's certain criteria we have to meet, such as the audit that the district goes through all of our financial audit scores, the annual Secretary of the Board report, and a timely submission of all of our core data information. So like when you saw Mr. Heck connecting with Julie, there are certain timelines of student data that has to be submitted, and we're scored to see if we meet those deadlines or not. So that's a goal, and we met that. The other considerations, there is an established minimum threshold for fund balances for school districts, and we meet that. The superintendent must be a certified superintendent. Required board member training, so all the board members, once you join the board, you have a certain timeline in order to get your orientation and your training done. And we get scored on that or not if somebody doesn't get that done. So that's why we always highly encourage you all to get that. Roll it along, and then other state and federal compliances. We wanted to include in there at the time when we put together the CSEP that we wanted to create a long-range financial plan, a facilities plan, and an emergency operation plan. No one realizes more than the people in this room how important that is now after we have been through the tornado and the storm recovery and just how important these pieces are. We did not make our goal by having those done in May of 2025 because of March of 2025 kind of knocked us on our tail, but we're getting back up and ready to go. Emergency operations plans is moving along. We are hoping to have that wrapped up very soon, and that will be coming to the board. Out of the emergency operation plan, a lot of safety things are leading to facility studies and audits, and we think that's going to roll very easily into some long-range facilities plans. And then obviously now we'll have a very rigid long-range financial plan that's going to be driven by construction, hopefully in the next few years. This is just the overall of the data. We would like to have the time to go back now and look at our building CSEP plans, those goals that the building principals set, go through and figure out those things that have been accomplished and completed, and make decisions if we need new strategies, new action steps, or absolutely maybe an updated goal. So that will be coming next.
Questions about CSEP update?
We'll probably continue to just leave it on the agenda for every month going forward. And just kind of like we do storm recovery, just let it have a holding place in the agenda, and we'll bring little bits and pieces versus wait for the updates.
Sounds good. Student recognition information.
I'm just the representative here. The people behind me can speak more in detail, but I'm willing to take any questions. I know that there were some questions brought forth about how we recognize student achievement in the district. And there's a multitude of ways. I think you all have those answers that were sent to you. From growth to achievement to summative type measurements, you know, like at the end of 8th grade, at the end of a school career when we graduate, variety of things. So I'm happy to try to answer anything specific or defer to the principals.
I don't want this to sound negative, I just want to have the discussion. So I kind of looked at our social media and our newspaper communications since the first of the year. The newspaper went a bit further back, but there was about 71 posts so far this year. 10 was recognizing some sort of academic achievement with our students. Could we improve on that? Is that a good ratio, 10 versus 71?
I mean, I will defer to our principals, but no, I believe that we can do better. I will tell you though that not everything goes on social media. You know,
Sure.
recognitions happen in a variety of ways. Within a school day, just letters home to parents. At the end, the ceremonies. So I think there's a variety of ways we can recognize students. Social media may not always be the way we do it.
Yeah, I looked at the past 6 Pirate Pride pages at the paper, and 2 of them recognized some sort of achievement. I didn't see, like, this came up with a constituent, like a couple grandparents that said, hey, we used to see honor roll a lot more than we do now. Should we do that? Is there a reason we don't? Have I missed it?
Well, we do honor roll in some buildings, and in others we do not. Part of that with the smaller buildings is we had standards-based grading for a time, and that there's not a real great way to identify honor roll based on those types of grading practices. So now we do have it down to 3rd grade where we have more traditional grades, so we could potentially look at honor roll down to that level. I don't believe that they have yet.
Well, I don't want it to just be Glennon's opinion, but I think that's a great thing to celebrate, and I'd love to have some conversation from the board about that. Maybe it seems antiquated or old school, but for a couple of grandparents that I talked to, they really enjoyed that. And I would think that would encourage our students too.
That does, I think, also encouraging students that may not be at the level of an honor roll that are showing significant growth. We need to also find ways to celebrate and recognize those students as well.
What's some ideas on that?
We do that already within the building.
Individually to parents as well for
Both.
that. You're right.
As groups, we do recognition ceremonies, we do, just individual, like, hey, great job, we do some celebrations, especially at the younger buildings where we're like, all right, we showed some growth. Middle school has done some as well. I hate to be speaking for the folks in the building that are really doing this, but yeah, we are doing those things.
They're behind you, nodding.
Well, it kind of sounds like I'm pigeonholing it to public, but we want to brag. Can we brag more, I guess, is my question.
I do want to point out too, absolutely academics are my priority and our priority. That's why we're here as a school. But I also wanted to note some of these other things that we recognize too, which is, like for example, the Glory of Missouri Award. So we recognize just our students being good citizens, and that is so important. And so that is at both the middle school and the high school level. We also have pirate shout-outs at the lower levels, and so that's similar to that as well.
Yes, I learned a lot from this, so thank you.
It's up and running right now. It's the first one.
As part of this, there was one other question on there we haven't discussed yet. This came up in several conversations I've had with people in the community. Could be anecdotal, could not be, but recognizing a valedictorian or a salutatorian. I'll go to discuss that. My gut feeling is that's a good thing. I know there's some points against it, but I'd love to hear from the board on that.
I would like to see us do both. I mean, the program that we're using now, cum laude program, but add that to it.
I know there was a committee several years ago that got together and worked on what we do now currently for recognitions. And so again, before we would make any changes, we would want to pull together a committee of people who are involved in that and have those conversations.
Do you know of any, are there other schools that use the cum laude system and still recognize a valedictorian, salutatorian?
I am unaware of that. Mr. Schaefer, are you aware?
Most of it moved away from valedictorian salutatorian entirely, which was part of the reason we had another one moved to the cum laude system as well. I did work with the meeting, most of the folks are involved in that original decision as far as departments. It was the assistant principals and the counselors, and we discussed it, and I believe we shared those points that we came up with why we would not recommend adding the valedictorian and salutatorian back for our honor ceremony. I think I shared those with you guys. Those are the notes that came from that group.
The kids can get their class rank if they need it.
Yes, they can.
For like,
Depending on their transcripts.
like for applications and their
Yes.
scholarship applications and stuff.
So many perfect 4.0s in here tonight, you know?
Yeah, we recently made a change to weighted and non-weighted because we wanted to give those individuals opportunities with scholarships. Couldn't that same logic be used in celebrating a valedictorian and salutatorian? Same logic as we talked about with the changing the weighted and non-weighted.
Well, I think if their class ranks 1, they'd still list themselves as valedictorian on an application. I mean, they may not have been officially recognized, but I think that's the definition of a valedictorian.
Speaking personally, I don't remember the last time I saw a scholarship application that asked if somebody was valedictorian or not. However, the vast majority of the higher merit-based scholarships, you ask for their class rank, which is then put in by the counselor, but students don't even have to request that. It is on the transcripts automatically.
Well, wouldn't valedictorian and first in the class be rather synonymous? I mean, they just changed the...
Nomenclature, it is. The difference, and if you read through the, I think I put all of this in the notes when I compiled, the difference in having that become a focal point at our commencement ceremony is, at that point, you reintroduce the competition that starts to drive course choices, what students, what classes they're taking, especially now that the board was generous enough to let us add those weighted courses for dual credit and dual enrollment. Now, instead of students selecting courses based on their interests and their future pathways, they're looking at what classes can I take to make sure I bolster my GPA to get that valedictorian title on the end. Right now, it's more passive. And you know what, if you've had the top GPA 4 years in a row and you fall into class rank 1, right, if 2 students happen to have the exact same GPA, they both end up being ranked as 1. But by creating that as a focal point, it shifts from students individually striving to get the best education they have, prepare them for whatever comes after high school for them, to how do I make sure I get this title that really doesn't benefit them beyond that ceremony.
That was a big piece of why we changed it back then, was to let kids focus on what they needed for the next stage and not chase a number.
Well, and it was also changed so that we recognize more students.
Yes, exactly.
What are those percentages, Magna, Summa, and just come on? What are those percentages?
It ends up being about 20% then, between the 3.
Well, I mean, do we choose the top 5 or do we choose the top
They have to
percentage?
meet a criteria. It's a grade point, it's attendance, attendance is a factor in there too.
The
ACT maybe?
95 and up, but as far as the grade point average, I mean, hypothetically speaking, every single senior could graduate magna cum laude if they fell within that grade point. I don't remember exactly what those cutoffs are for GPA, but it's non-restricted. It's inclusive of anyone who falls within those points.
But there were 3 factors, wasn't it? An ACT scored, attendance, and GPA?
Because I believe there are options with ACT or ACT work keys.
Okay.
So but yes, it's a college career readiness assessment, it's GPA, and it's the attendance.
Attendance, yeah, we were big on the attendance piece.
Anything else on that?
Well, I'm not hearing a majority that want to move forward with that, so. Thanks for the info.
All right, I'm here to present our high school mid-year data, as I promised last month. So we're going to start with our Algebra 1 courses, our course. You can see over here the number of students who took that. What I did over here is I showed you by grade where each cohort scored and also how many students. So the majority of our Algebra 1 students are 9th graders. And just a reminder, this would be the high achievement, high growth. This would be high growth, lower achievement, with the 50 being right there in the middle, and so on. So here's the ideal spot that we want our students to be. But actually, you know, this is our ideal spot because we want to see growth happening. Here's our Algebra 2, our number of students here, and again by grade level. This one here in the middle is the whole school. Okay, then we have 2 assessments that we take for our English 1 and 2 classes. One is reading, one is language arts. Here's our reading scores, broken up by grade level and number of students. So this is both English 1 and English 2, which is why we have a significant number of 9th and 10th graders. Here's our language usage, the grammar and writing. This is our biology results, and we have 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. Majority being 10th graders. So my summary is Algebra 1 from the fall to the winter moved from the 27th to the 39th percentile in achievement. I want to highlight though they had a 73rd growth percentile median. So they are closing those gaps. Majority of our 9th grade students are in the high growth quadrants. So even though they may not be in the high achievement, they are in the high growth quadrants. Several, you did not see the individual classes here, but several of our Algebra 1 classes showed growth totals in the 187% to 297% range for annual growth, and that was at mid-year, where 50% would have been what we would have expected. Algebra 2 10th graders are in the high growth, high achievement quadrant. 11th graders are also showing higher growth. Algebra 2 as a whole is showing a strong 64th percentile growth median. So our algebra courses, while not where we necessarily want achievement-wise, are closing gaps. English 1 and 2, the overall achievement in language usage is at 56th percentile with a 61st percentile growth median, again, growing better than average. Reading showed fairly flat, but we're still slightly over average with a 54th percentile in achievement. This is both English 1 and 2. And you can see the totals here for several of our English 1 and 2 classes. Their annual growth goals, we had some that scored very high, 258% to 566%.
So is that, do you think that's teacher related, class composition related, or a combination?
It's always complex. I'm always going to give the kudos to the teacher and the instructional strategies they're using. Biology's achievement level was similar fall to winter. The growth median was at the 48th percentile, which is about typical growth. 50th would be exactly medium. So that's an area that we would like to see a little bit quicker growth happening at that level. So overall, with all of the assessments, our growth percentile rates are higher than our achievement percentiles. But that also indicates our students they're starting below national averages in some areas, but the pace of instruction is closing the gaps. Are there any questions?
I appreciate the growth.
Yeah, good progress.
We very much appreciate the growth.
We use a lot of metrics to see where our achievement is and how those students are growing at a percentile, and then they're kind of moving up and to the right. That's kind of where we want to be, higher achievement and higher growth. How do you use these metrics, or what metrics do you use to measure our educators' growth and trends and moving up in performance and over in achieving a higher academic standard?
Well, these are not used to evaluate our educators. These are used to drive our instruction and to tell us where our kids are. And so, I've kind of spoken to this before, when we see a teacher who is struggling maybe with seeing the growth, that's where we know we need to help with supporting them, helping them to figure out what's going on. What do we need to do to help see growth in the students? Pair them up with more veteran teachers, educators, talk about these things in our professional learning communities, professional development, but these metrics aren't used to evaluate our teachers.
So the system that you use, how do you track that and evaluate their growth?
So the building administrators do observations of the teachers based on teacher standards from the state of Missouri, and basically provide feedback.
Is there a system that you use to see that activity?
We have a system, we have a platform that we use and track that.
Can you share that with people?
Share the platform
Just
or
what
the
you're
results?
Yeah,
I think that would be Kids Up, that you're referring to.
Yeah.
just like what you're doing, what you're seeing success with, what's not working. I mean, I don't even know how many. I mean, is it hundreds a week? throughout the whole district? Is it tens per week
I think that's
throughout the
something.
whole district? I'd love to kind of see, you're telling me what you're doing. Can we see what you're doing? And how many interactions that you're having for improvement, because we just want to be better.
I would respectfully say this is what shows what our teachers are doing. And yes, we do provide feedback to our teachers and evaluate them, but ultimately it comes down to the student data and what we're seeing from them. That's what we focus on. But if that's what we want to do is present on that, we can share that.
I think Mr. Hayden already plans on doing that.
On the evaluation piece, and I think, Mr. Sadler, what you're asking, I believe, and maybe I didn't hear you, was can we see what each individual teacher, how they're performing, or how the students are performing in the classroom?
Well, I don't want to see individual data, because that would need to be closed session, but I don't want to see that. I just kind of, I get a lot of questions from the community to me is, hey, what are you doing? And I just want to know more about that. I do share how we're seeing higher growth, and we're above the 50th percentile on growth. And I know that's student data, and I know that's how you're saying that, but I'd love to also say how, what the district is doing for teachers, or what action we're taking to
cause that
improve
growth.
these.
That causes that improvement. Is that what you're?
Yeah. We're told that it's happening. I just kind of want to see how that's happening. I don't know.
What, the actions that are making it happen? Or the
Yeah, and it don't have to be specific to an individual, but, you know, I don't even know, are we doing these interactions weekly? Are we doing them monthly? Are we doing them, I mean, can you just educate us on this a little bit?
I'm speaking from a principal point of view here, which I haven't done for several years, but those happen all through the year. The work of this is happening always, ongoing, weekly in our professional learning communities. That's the meat of what we're doing to move student achievement.
And do you track that in Kickup or ICUP or whatever?
Those really don't align.
But we could create a document similar to what we did with all the student achievement. We could create a document that talks about all the things that we're doing in each building with your staff, and it's like, here's the things we're doing to support our check-ins, through our PLCs. Like, we could create a little bit of a narrative for you all to see kind of from the back door looking in, what all interactions are going on with teachers. I think that would be much more valuable to you than an evaluation process, which is more of a summative. I think that.
Yeah, we trust you to, obviously we trust you to do it, but I would love to see how that works, to be able to
I think
explain
just
that.
putting it all together and saying, here's some things that we do at the elementary, here's some things that we do at the Career Center for that engagement and encouragement and all that climate and all those support pieces that go in together. I think that would easily fill the pages full of the things that go on behind the scenes to support those teachers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, graduation ceremony plan.
Good evening. Come to you tonight, talk to you about the graduation coming up here in 67 days. Back a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was.
93 days from today.
We're not,
Yeah, we're not graduating in April.
don't ask me that. I'm sorry, my fingers are off. Sorry about that.
Not that I'm counting.
There, maybe that's it. But the graduation committee met approximately a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was, to get the ball rolling for this coming year. We wanted to come to you tonight and give you an update on what the committee is looking at, what we're planning on doing, and answer any questions you may have. So, step back to last year, we calculated up, we figured up the figures and everything. We ended up using the wrong calculation last year. We actually went with the maximum capacity of the gym, not the maximum capacity of the seats. So we were off last year. So if you're at graduation, you did see we had some people standing up on the track and stuff. Some of that was from not enough seating, and also probably some people just getting tired, needed to stretch and stuff. So this year, we did our figures, and we are looking at 1,600 seats in the gymnasium. That is 600 bleachers on both sides, that's 1,200 seats there, and then 400 seats on the floor of the gymnasium is what we're looking at. So with that, we are looking at roughly 170 graduates this year. With, we will hand out 8 tickets per family. That gives us a total of 1,360 guests for the graduates. Then you add in the 50 staff members that will be there with the students. So that gives us roughly about 220 staff members and guests, or staff members and students. So you take that with the guests, we're at approximately 1,580 people for the gym. That gives us just roughly 20 extra seats. Okay? That still puts us under, way under, you know, we're nowhere near the fire code and everything else with the city.
What figure did you use last year?
Remember, I don't have that figure.
It was around 2,200. And so we went with 8 tickets. We had a larger graduating class of about 200, and then I think we walked 206 last year. You guys remember, it was a long evening, but so that was the number that was given, so that's what we used. And so we went with 8 last year. And then when we went back and looked at actual seating, because we did have far more people than we had seats, this is the number that I got from the Park Center. Was, well, we've got 1,200 bleachers total. And then maintenance, let me know, we lay out 400 chairs, and that's for students, staff, and guests total, so we're at 1,600. Now, I'll be honest, I've spent this year a lot more time sitting on those bleachers in the Park Center than usual years. Those seats are about yay wide. So we're still going to be pushing. There's going to be, luckily, some of the little kids will sit on laps and that kind of thing, but I don't know that you would necessarily get 1,200 normal-sized people in all of those bleachers, but I wouldn't feel right about giving any fewer tickets to this graduating class than what we gave prior. The hope was that we were going to be able to offer more tickets this year, but when we actually got the correct numbers and the correct calculations, it just doesn't work.
We will, I will be reaching out a little bit to the police department and the sheriff's department for a little extra security like we had last year. We will do the entrances the same as we did last year. Front doors, we will have 2 entrances, one coming in that has clear bags or no bags at all, and the other one, if they do bring in, they'll be checked and stuff with those types of bags. We'll have the opening, the doors will open at 5:30, ceremony starting at 7, and yes, as long as we have
Hopefully no tornado this year.
no complications as we had last year, but we'll be good. And then I'm planning on also with the extra officers we will have there, we will have somebody up on the track or on the back of the floor, just asking people if they are standing around, if they're stretching, you know, do the stretch and head back to your seats real fast, or if you have to stand up, please move out to the lobby so that way we leave the openings, so if we do have to evacuate, we don't have a bunch of people down on the floor or up above for evacuation purposes, for egress and everything. So that is what we're looking at. Mr. Hayden, anything to add?
Just last year, it was, I have to kudos to the middle school. That was kind of our trial run the night before, just to see how all that went. And we're going to do the same this year. It'll be the night before the middle school. Mr. Cal and his freshmen and others. Yeah, I'd like to think we've got probably, I think, 10 or 12 of us that have been meeting. I think that was probably our 5th or 6th meeting since last year about the graduation. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Schaefer, but I think he fielded a couple of calls. There's questions about that. I did too about tickets. It seemed to work out real well. Some didn't even utilize all 8 tickets, and so they simply let somebody else use their tickets.
And we'll encourage that again this year. You know, it's not about limiting any one family who might have more people than they want to be there. It's just about making sure we've got a max number that'll fit those seats. So if I only need 3 and he needs 13, then I'll hand him my 5, and that's fine. It doesn't matter how many each person is.
You don't facilitate that at all, you just let family do that? I mean, you don't collect tickets back if someone surrenders them?
You know, I was looking, when we first started talking tickets good night, August, September, I think, last year. I reached out to several other schools that do the tickets, and we talked about how do they do it. And the ones who had facilitated the kind of redistribution of those had immediately walked away from it. They say you don't need to be involved in it. It works its way out anyway. It just creates a whole lot of headaches and issues. One had done a lottery system where we draw. Well, as soon as this family over here gets it and this one doesn't get any more, somebody's crying foul that it's rigged. There's just, they said it's a lot of headaches. Just let people work it out. They find their ways. And they say they actually got really easy then because they use social media to reach out. Hey, I need 5 more tickets. Anybody got them? They can take care of it.
I seen that happen last year. People were trading.
Any other questions we can answer?
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
The 2025 e-policy updates.
Most of these were just for inset alignments. I think there was a lot of that policy language, so put them here for you all to go through and
Didn't seem like a lot of big changes to it.
just updating language. So if there are any questions, we've got time to next month to look at
Look
it.
at that one, I can't sleep.
Questions or concerns?
You don't have to give me grace because I've asked this before and I've forgotten. If someone has a concern about a piece of literature in the library, is there a policy form that we have, or is that just a form that the librarian has? And I guess my question is, should we include it in the policy?
All forms set separately from the policies.
Well, there's links on here to I know there's some forms within the policies that it's a supplemental of some sort. Does that form need to be on here so it's accessible to that person that might?
You don't need to jump to that particular one, which one is it?
Is 2AC.
2AC, yeah.
Page 10 maybe?
I apologize if I missed that.
Page 7, that's the one. That AP1, so there's Administrative Procedure 1, provides a process for complaints and any objections that cannot be resolved informally, so the district, so they would go to that KLB AP1 and fill that out. So there is a reference to it already.
KLB, AF1.
AP1, so KLB, Administrative Procedure 1. So it's kind of a guidance document where they could go in and there's administrative procedures and forms that go along with policies.
Is there a hyperlink on that? What page?
Probably not from this, but maybe on the website, but not from this document. This document is from MSBA, just highlighting and showing you the proposed changes.
But we're sure the hyperlink is working. I'm not seeing it in front of me, but.
I have to go look.
Okay.
But there's a hyperlink, but it's called KLB AF at the bottom of the, I'm wondering if AP is the right letter. Because when you open it, it looks like it's what you're looking for.
page is that on? I just clicked on it and then.
I think I found it.
Yeah.
It takes
I'm on
it to
page 9.
Page 9.
Yeah, and it pops up, I think, the form you're
Take
looking
you to
for.
it.
I'm just wondering if in the body of the procedure, it should say AF1 instead of AP.
Yeah, I see it
I do see it.
Well, no, that's referring to a procedure, okay? Then the
Well-
form is tied to the procedure, so we just don't see the
there. It says it's
procedure.
a request for reconsideration of materials.
Sorry I missed that.
Further questions or concerns? Will be moved to consent agenda next month. Policy GCPCA.
All right, and I apologize, I wanted to back up. I was getting ready for the other ones and the graduation. I actually had the Student Health Services on behalf of Nurse Layton. She is not here this evening, but you are correct, there was 32,455 visits last year seen by all of our different 4 nurse stations. And so if there's any questions of that, please send them my way, and I'll, of course, ask the expert, Ms. Slayton, if there's anything or any concerns there. So sorry about that, I just kind of went on. Policy GCPCA, give you a copy of that. That is regarding the retirement or resignation notification incentive, and it's been brought to our attention. If you look at the second page, which was a letter we received from Matthew Graham, legal counsel, from MSBA, Missouri School Board Association. The last sentence is kind of the key there. This is just kind of discussion this evening. Read through the policy. He is recommending that this policy does not apply to those that are employed in the critical shortage capacity. And we're simply making a recommendation for next year that verbiage, there we go, thank you, be included in that policy, simply stating it does not apply to the critical shortage capacity, and he would help draft that and get that to the board. So just kind of informational on that.
Sounds like a good idea.
By the way, Nancy, did you know that Susan Goldamer left?
Yes, Columbia Schools.
She's legal counsel for
Columbia, yes. All right, so just wanted to bring that to your attention. Next month, we'll ask that that be
Will that be in the consent?
next month, or sorry, next month.
Okay.
Yes, that's the intent, Dr. Jones. All right, and the next one is GCPB, and that's resignation of professional staff members, referred to as liquidated damages. So I added the second page of that one also I'm going to refer to. And currently, our policy, which it's been about 4 years since both of these have been updated or revised or reviewed. Currently, we do liquidated damages if an employee requests to get out of the contract July 1st through the 31st. That's $500. If it's August 1st through the end of the school year, it's $1,500. We're proposing for discussion that that'd be June 1st through the 30th be $1,000. July 1st through the 31st be $1,500. And then August 1st through the end of the year be $2,500. And we tried to compare that. We gave you a few schools there to the right. That being St. Genevieve, 2% of the salary, 4% if it's July to the end of the year. We had Poplar Bluff with $1,000, $1,500, and $2,000, and Farmington $1,000, $1,500, and $2,500. Simply from our standpoint, it puts us in a heck of a position if we get a resignation after June 1st or especially July 1st and or August 1st. And just kind of going from left to right, is that okay the way that's kind of presented there in the questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Hayden,
Yes.
when you're hiring someone or interviewing them, do you point that out, or does it only come up later? Is that a discussion point on the front side, I guess is the question.
Typically not, but however, there may be about the incentives, such as by December 31st, to let us know if they're retiring or maybe moving out of district. We have a couple who've done that this year. That's $1,500 versus $500. But as far as the front end, not typically, because we're hoping, I was kidding the other day, I said, you're signing a 31-year contract, and they kind of looked at me funny, but anyway. But no, typically we don't as far as that goes.
But it's not a hidden piece that they wouldn't know about.
Do you run into this where someone's surprised?
I think that's,
Hey,
I think that was your question.
That's my question, is if some, hey, I found another job, I'm fixing to leave, and then you say, hey, you do know there's a liquidated damages, and then they're surprised, or is that, I mean, if I'm a teacher, do I know that?
And that's actually in the, also in the handbook employee.
Okay.
It's located in there, so. To answer your question, my first year, this is my third year, had a young man come to us the first week of August. And the district he went to wrote out a check for liquidated damages.
Oh, the other district.
So, those are just kind of discussion items, and we'd ask that you'll present those as consent agenda next board meeting.
Any questions or concerns? Superintendent report.
I think I'm 4 in a row here, so. Employment opportunities there.
Whoop.
I don't think you want that one up there. That should have been in your packet, though, employment opportunities, the current ones.
It's not working.
I sound the same each month, but we'll be filling several of those coming up here in closed session, but also we'll be having a couple of positions we need to fill, so. And it's been the interview season the last week or two. Ask my fellow administrators back there, so.
Ready to try this one?
Yeah, the attendance is working.
Oh, what? There's no rhyme or reason to this.
Sorry.
There's no, like, some of the ones that are multiple pages come up and a single one won't.
Well, that other one worked at home.
Yeah, it worked on. Okay.
It should, is this the one you're looking for?
Mr. Hayden, do you want to drive this? Do you want me to?
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry.
got to close session.
I think it's contained in the packet, and to summarize this, since the first of the year, and having a week off, and sorry, I hear a couple of you, including myself, I think our administrators would say the between sickness and not only kiddos, but staff, attendance is obviously down, and since we come back to school and having that week off, it's really been a struggle with some different stuff happening with our kiddos, but our attendance is obviously down the first 6 weeks back from school here, so.
Can I ask, our almost a week off, did we use a lot of minutes? I mean, do we have, I know we build in minutes, are we getting close to being out of minutes? Am I asking that correctly? Are we out of snow days? Okay.
There we go.
Well,
And every building's a little different, so.
So there's no proposed future days off that we're changing or even getting close to? Okay.
I don't want to speak on behalf of Mrs. Mayor or the administrators, but I think they've talked with staff about how that looks, missing those 5 days, and how that's going to be made up and to catch up on that, so. Right, guys? Yes. Thank you.
Financial report.
Okay. There we go. We should be at past the 50% mark now, so we'll start kind of watching for some of that representation. The first one is the revenue report this month, and divided into local, state, and federal, and compared to this year currently, prior year, and the year before that. That shows our local revenue coming in, our state revenue, and our federal year to date compared to this time last year, the prior years. So visually we represent it, and then we show you also the numbers. And so we are tracking to see kind of where we were when it came to local revenue coming in compared to this year compared to last year, and what we budgeted for the entire year. And what percent we are at for that. We do that also for state revenue, and then the total. And so local revenue, we sit and waiting for that to start coming in, and it's coming in heavy now with your December, January, and February months. For our expenses, we divide those out by salaries and benefits, purchase services, and supplies and materials. So those are all the different codes that are in the budget, and we kind of lump them together for you to see as a lumped group. And we can do the same thing. We look at the light green being currently where we are year to date this year compared to where we were this time last year and the year before. And numbers, and there's our 50%. Obviously, there are things that are spent out as an expenditure first thing as school year starts. It's not evenly split between all 12 months of the year. And there are some things that we aren't going to purchase until right towards the very end, depending on what it is. So you can use that as a measure, but that's all that it is. Just tracking along to see that we're comparable to where we were before.
Dr. Jones, can you remind me when the estimated insurance proceeds were coming?
They have hit.
They have?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why we want to be able to, we don't want them to just sit idle in the bank.
I see. That's the RFP.
Yes, we would like to, if there is a portion of those proceeds that we know that we will not use immediately, if we could put that into something short-term, we possibly could earn some additional revenue on that. Okay, then we have our spotlight. I hope so bad that this works. Are we ready for volume?
Yes, it is.
All right.
In the state of Missouri and actually across the United States, we follow something called the three-circle model of agricultural education. It includes classroom/lab instruction. Then it has your SAE component, or supervised agricultural education. And third, it is that FFA component.
When coming into the ag program, you'll take an intro to ag class, or as of right now, we're taking the exploring ag class, and then you'll go up to the intro class. You'll come in here, you'll take that, you'll do a whole year of it, so 2 semesters. Then after that, you can go into any of the 3 different pathways we offer, and this is just related on what the kids really like to see. So they like animal science, that's a big one, so then you can take any animal class that we offer. This year we did vet science, animal science, and an equine science. And then you can also go into ag mechanics and machinery a little bit, and that teaches you a little bit more hands-on in the shop, outside doing things. There's a different ag classes or ag construction classes that are offered. And then we got more of the soil and plant science side of it. So then greenhouse management, floral design, dealing with the greenhouse. So it's a lot of hands-on work there too. So
I think ag construction is my favorite. We do a lot of hands-on building things. We are getting ready to build some smokers for the school, so that should be a good thing.
Something cool about this year is that we started an 8th grade class, so some 8th graders can come up from the middle school and get a chance to learn about agriculture before they get into high school. Each student enrolled in an agriculture course is required to have an SAE in order to technically complete the program. Those are where they have, outside of class time hours typically, some extra project, okay? So some kids, they're very fortunate and they live on a farm, so they could have a beef cattle enterprise, or they have rabbits at home that they show, so that could also be a project. But an SAE could be something as simple as working at McDonald's as well, because that falls into food products and processing.
So my main SAE is technically like my job. I work at a restaurant, I work at Scooters. Okay. So handling food and safety practices, working with customers, a lot of stuff. But I also have an ag education, SAE, so I teach Ag Ed on the Move to the second graders. So we go up there, we teach Ag Ed on the Move. That's just like an hour lesson to them and shows them different things within agriculture in Missouri.
My SAE, so I run my hours for my agriculture for working on a family farm, so I dock all my hours. So this year between last year and my freshman and sophomore year, I've worked almost 400 hours. And then I'm a business manager for J&C Detailing. So I put all my hours, kind of like you're managing your own business kind of thing. So J&C Detailing, I manage my own business, and that's a really high platform to get in the agriculture community.
The National FFA organization is a huge thing that we bring from anywhere from 9th graders to 12th graders, learning about all different types of what FFA brings to us. So we got leadership development skills, scholarship. Networking is a big thing too. They get to meet people from all over the United States at different events. People in Missouri, when we go to all of our little conferences here or different activities, contest teams, they're getting to grow their FFA knowledge and experience.
I love FFA with all of the things that we do, the events. I love meeting people around the state. Every time I get to go out and compete for CDEs or LDEs or the summer events, I just like meeting new people, and I think it's always fun, the opportunities that they give us.
I'd say one of my favorite things is the contest team. So I was on the livestock judging team, and we got second in districts, and we went to state and got third in state. But state is one of the coolest experiences. You go around and tour expos, you just see so many and meet so many different people so many different backgrounds and knowledge in this agriculture community.
I love fall harvest. That's one of my favorite things because we get to bring up like the 3rd through 5th graders and teach them about agriculture, and I love seeing their little kids around there because I never got to do that because I didn't go to Perryville, and so I think it's really cute that we get to see them up here and teach them about animals and stuff.
To the board newsletter.
School dates, lots of opportunities for engagement. Mr. Ford put that together, thank you.
Questions, concerns, or comments on the ag program or the newsletter?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.